Ladies and gentlemen, I think you guys will be very interested in this story, and you have to be very careful about judging a book by its cover. You guys know that I tend to judge when I see things that just don't look right to my optics. In this case, this man that you see on my screen has a very deceiving face, but I want to know if you guys believe that this man is a hero or if he's just somebody who simply broke the law and is a criminal. So let me explain what you guys are looking at. An Anchorage, Alaska man who attacked 3 registered sex offenders last year said that he wants his story to serve as a deterrent to anyone tempted to turn their pain into violence or take the law into their own hands. That's what he did in the summer of 2016, and now the guy that you see on my screen faces up to 25 years in prison. Okay? Now, if you've already lost your youth, like me, due to a child abuser, please do not throw away your present and your future by committing acts of violence, said this man by the name of Jason Vukovich wrote in a 5-page letter sent to the Anchorage Daily News in November. Again, that man's name that you see right there is Jason Vukovich, which is Vukovich. I might not be pronouncing that right, but that's Jason. And for the past year and a half, Vukovich's case has moved through the Alaska court system. He agreed to plead guilty to first-degree attempted assault and a consolidated count of first-degree robbery. In turn, prosecutors agreed to dismiss more than a dozen other charges against him as part of a plea deal, according to court records. Vukovich is now awaiting his sentencing, which is currently scheduled for Wednesday afternoon. However, his attorney has recently requested more time to prepare, so the court date will more than likely be pushed further along. In the meantime, 42-year-old, or he was 42 at the time, so he's about 44 now, Vukovich said that his views have transformed since that time. In both the November letter and in an interview at the Anchorage jail in December, he said he wants to correct a message he communicated last fall when he sent another letter to the ADN and proposed an unconventional plea deal from his jail cell. Before I continue to read that, what I want you guys to understand, what this man did, that guy went and found people who were charged and convicted of harming children. I believe they were on the sex offenders list. They were sex offenders. We're the AFC, where we advocate for children first. And I'm going to tell you guys, I am very conflicted with this story, okay? First and foremost, I want to be on the record and say this. I have no love for anybody who hurts and harms and murders our children, let alone sex offenders. I think very lowly of people who have ever misused and abused sexually children. You guys know that we have thousands of children who disappear around our country all the time. People are constantly kidnapping our children. You guys can even watch a video on my channel that's starting to go viral of a woman who walked in a bathroom in broad daylight while the mother was recording the woman following her around an area, followed her into the bathroom and tried to take her child from her while she watched. The mother ended up beating up the woman. And in that case, I said, you know what? That beating that mother gave that woman was warranted. I said it was okay. I thought it was a great thing that the mom did, standing up and protecting her baby. This man did something kind of similar, but he went a little bit further. And what it sounds like what he did was he went and looked up the addresses of some people who were registered sex offenders, and you guys can see some of the marks on their face. He looked them up. He came to their home. He broke into their home. He went and found them inside the home, and he took a hammer to their face. How do you guys feel about that? Some people say that he is an avenging angel. Some people say that he is a godsend. Some people look at this as a good thing. And I'm here to tell you, I don't really know how I feel about this. Because in some ways, if you look deep down inside your heart, you might want to do something like what he did. But I can't advocate for you guys breaking the law. I can't advocate for anybody doing this. Okay? We need to be law-abiding citizens, and what he did was broke the law. But where his anger comes from, his frustration, and the way that he went about going about what he did, I can at least understand it. Because our babies, our children, our most defenseless people cannot speak for themselves, nor can they defend themselves against the tyranny of their caretakers or people who take advantage of these kids in whatever ways that they did. He is a vigilante. That is correct. It is a vigilante style of justice. And I'm going to tell you guys, it's right and it's wrong. It's wrong because you can't legally do it. You're breaking the law, and I cannot advocate for anybody doing that. But on the flip side, it can have some positive effects because, number one, that man has garnered support from way farther than Alaska. People in the United States have started to hear his story. There have even been people who tried to start GoFundMes and start funding accounts to try to pay for his legal defense, trying to put money into his pocket, trying to make sure that this man gets out of prison because people look at this as a good thing. Now, with the sex offenders, I got to tell you guys, it's kind of hard to feel sorry for a sex offender. It really is. Because I think with a person being a sex offender, there's really, especially of a minor, there's really not much worse that you can do to take advantage of our babies. I think it deserves the harshest punishment possible. And if sex offenders have to think twice before they sex offend somebody, that there might be somebody like this man out there that might come and hunt you down, then I think it's a good, healthy fear to have. To think that if you abuse our babies, that there might be somebody like him out there that might come and find you and come and mess you up. All right, let me show you guys the news videos. But tell me, guys, what you honestly think in the chat. Let me give you guys the fair usage. Let's get it. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. Again, you guys can always be honest. Post your comments in the comment section. Let's get it.
A man who called himself an avenging angel was in court today. 41-year-old Jason Vukovich is accused of violently assaulting men with a history of sexual offenses involving children.
KTVA 11's Lauren Maxwell was at the courthouse where Vukovich was arraigned today.
Vukovich is facing a host of charges, including robbery and assault. Police say he tracked his victims to their homes and attacked them in late June. And they say in one case he beat a man so severely with a hammer that he fractured his skull.
Now, these are just allegations at this time.
Jason Vukovich had little to say in court today, except to enter a plea of not guilty to charges involving 4 different men. According to charging documents, he told police he found information about his victims on the state's sex offender registry. It's something anyone can do. Names, pictures, addresses, it's all there online, including the place where this man lives.
So the guy hit me in the head 6 times.
Wesley Demarest is one of several men Vukovich is accused of assaulting.
I feared he was going to kill me.
He says Vukovich broke into his home in the middle of the night and beat his head with a hammer.
He said, I'm going to the avenging angel. I'm going to mete out justice for the people you hurt.
In 2006, Demarest pled no contest to attempted sexual abuse of a minor. He's been on the list a long time.
I get off when I'm 72.
He says he understands why the list exists, but after the attack, he wonders if it offers too much information.
I don't think that their place they work should be listed. I don't think their address should be public knowledge. I think the name should be enough.
He says he thinks about his crime every day, how it's affected his own life.
How long do I have to pay for it every time I get turned down for a job?
But then he remembers his victim.
How long is she going to have to live with it? Yeah, okay, so I'll live with it forever then.
In some ways, he's resigned to his fate.
Demarest was required to register as a sex offender for 15 years after his conviction, which means he has 5 years left. And as for Jason Vukovich, if he's convicted of all the charges, he could get more than 30 years in prison. Lauren Maxwell, KTVA 11 News. Vukovich is facing a host of charges, including robbery and assault. Police say he tracked his victims to their homes and attacked them in late June. And they say in one case he beat a man so severely with a hammer that he fractured his skull.
Now, these are just allegations at this time.
Jason Vukovich had little to say in court today, except to enter a plea of not guilty to charges involving 4 different men. According to charging documents, he told police he found information about his victims on the state's sex offender registry. It's something anyone can do. Names, pictures, addresses, it's all there online, including the place where this man lives.
So the guy hit me in the head 6 times.
Wesley Demarest is one of several men Vukovich is accused of assaulting.
I feared he was going to kill me.
He says Vukovich broke into his home in the middle of the night and beat his head with a hammer.
He said, I'm the avenging angel. I'm going to mete out justice for the people you hurt.
In 2006, Demarest pled no contest to attempted sexual abuse of a minor. He's been on the list a long time.
I get off when I'm 72.
He says he understands why the list exists, but after the attack, he wonders if it offers too much information.
I don't think that their place they work should be listed. I don't think their address should be public knowledge. I think the name should be enough.
He says he thinks about his crime every day, how it's affected his own life.
How long do I have to pay for it every time I get turned down for a job?
But then he remembers his victim.
How long is she going to have to live with it? Yeah, okay, so I'll live with it forever then.
In some ways, he's resigned to his fate.
Demarest was required to register as a sex offender for 15 years after his conviction, which means he has 5 years left. And as for Jason Vukovich, if he's convicted of all the charges, he could get more than 30 years in prison. Lauren Maxwell, KTVA 11 News.
I'm going to tell you guys like this. If you're familiar with the prison mentality, then you guys know that people in prison, when they find out that you have hurt, harmed, raped, sexually abused, or whatever it is, when it involves children, people in jail deeply frown on that, and they tend to do some really, really bad things to those kind of people when they're in jail. That's a very well-known fact that it happens a lot. And I'm going to tell you guys, it's really, really hard, and this is really, really deep. It's really hard for me to feel bad for the sex offenders. Because guess what? Those babies, those children, those minors, those underage kids deserve an opportunity to grow up and become something great, and you could have potentially derailed that, harmed them psychologically, ruined those human beings that they would never be able to get right. And for that is something I don't think you can ever pay back your debt to society for. I think that you need to spend the rest of your life trying to fix it, do whatever you can to try to be a good law-abiding citizen, be a good example. But once you like I said, once you abuse a kid, like, I just don't really think there's a lot of coming back from that. Okay, I know that's probably what he was thinking. And I think that what he wanted to do was he wants to leave a legacy. This is what most men want to do. This is why men choose women, and they're supposed to choose righteous soil to sow seeds in for a woman that is going to produce a legacy for a man. That man's name means something. That's why it means something for a woman to accept a name from a man when you get married. It absolutely has a very, very deep meaning. This particular man's legacy, he wants the world to remember his name. If they didn't remember him for doing anything else in his life, his legacy will forever be that, you know what, for people who harm kids, I made them answer for that in the harshest way possible. I tried to beat their brains out and make them suffer physically, spiritually, emotionally, and torture them. Is it right? I think that's for you guys to decide. The law says you cannot do what he did, but as you guys can see from this picture, it says justice for children. Hammer in the head. Or let's go back. It says hammer in the head for child molesters. I don't think he deserves 30 years in jail, but with him being in jail, it just means that's a longer amount of period of time that he can't get right back out and go do the exact same thing. Okay? He is a vigilante, and I do see the psychology behind vigilante justice. I understand it. But like I said, as being an AFC advocate and us being members as advocates, I never encourage us to be doing anything that's illegal. I always encourage us, if we need to, maybe we need to make the laws harsher. Maybe we need some harsher penalties for people who do these type of things to kids. But I can tell you guys this. I get it. I understand. I respect where his mindset is to a certain extent. It's a noble idea to a certain extent. And I think that once he does get out of prison, if he's allowed to get out early, I think he will have a lot of support behind him, just because I think that America, I think that Alaska, and I think that the world is absolutely tired, and we are fed up of our children being abused, misused, disrespected, raped, tortured, and murdered. We're tired of it. I think that is the message that he was trying to send. I say, we heard you, bro. We heard you. That's all I can say. I want you guys to post your comments in the comment section and let me know what you guys think. I will make this video available so that you guys can watch it at a later point, okay? This is your boy DJ Just J. We're the AFC, and I think that my commentary is pretty fair. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Post your comments. Like, share, and subscribe to the AFC, okay? Thank you guys so much for listening to this story, okay? Peace.